For $500 in parts, you can install a system in your backyard that converts a single kilogram of trash into a full hour of cooking gas every day, with no electricity, no compressor, and no utility bill. It also produces about 10 liters of liquid fertilizer a day as a byproduct, and captures the methane that would otherwise escape from your trash into the atmosphere. Yet across the United States, fewer than 1 in 10,000 homes runs one, and in most municipalities it's nearly impossible to legally install. This is called a home biogas digester. And this is the story of an idea older than the Roman Empire, the 3 Israeli engineers who turned it into a flat-pack appliance, and the reason your gas company would rather you never heard of it. The home biogas digester is not a modern invention. To understand where this system actually comes from, we have to go back roughly 3,000 years to the bathhouses of ancient Assyria. Evidence of biogas used dates to the Assyrians in the 10th century BC, where the gas from decaying organic matter was captured and burned to heat bath water. The Assyrians did not know what methane was. They did not know about anaerobic bacteria. What they knew was that covered pits filled with manure and plant matter produced a flammable gas that could be piped into a stone hearth and lit on demand. It was, in every meaningful sense, the world's first domestic natural gas system, and it predates the steam engine by 27 centuries. But the Assyrians were not alone. The same principle showed up, independently, on the other side of the continent. Marco Polo's accounts reference covered sewage ponds, and the use of biogas is mentioned in ancient Chinese literature dating back 2,000 to 3,000 years. In rural China, villagers fed sealed pits with kitchen scraps and animal waste, then ran a bamboo pipe out the top and into the kitchen stove. Marco Polo returned to Europe from his Far East voyages and described the domestic dragons he observed keeping the streets clean in China. He was describing biodigesters. Europe ignored him for 600 years. The first formal engineered version of this system did not appear until 1859 in a leper colony in Bombay, India. The goal was sanitation, not energy. But the engineers quickly realized the gas coming off the sealed waste tank was clean enough to fuel lamps. In Exeter, England, a sewage treatment facility captured that gas and used it to fuel the town's street lamps in 1895. Victorian England was lighting its streets with the methane from its own sewage. And then, almost overnight, the world forgot. Natural gas pipelines arrived, and the entire industry pivoted to extracting methane from underground instead of harvesting it from the waste stream every household already produces. But the technology never died. It just got pushed to the margins, where it waited for someone to bring it back. That someone arrived in 2007. Yair Teller, an Israeli researcher working on anaerobic digestion at Ben Gurion University, traveled to Mexico and observed small biogas systems running in rural villages. Teller and his eventual co-founder, Oshik Efrati, acquired biogas systems from China and India, installed them locally, and quickly judged them to work poorly. They suffered from poor efficiency, unpleasant odors, and insect infestations. The traditional designs were fixed-dome concrete pits poured in place. They leaked, they smelled, they attracted rats, and they were almost impossible to ship. So, Teller and Efrati started over. The breakthrough came in, figuring out that the digester did not need to be a hole in the ground. It could be a sealed, flexible polyethylene tank, prefabricated in a factory, shipped flat in a single box, and unfolded in a backyard in under 2 hours. In 2012, Teller, Efrati, and Erez Lanzer formally created home biogas in Beit Yanai, Israel. The product was a family-sized above-ground biodigester that looked more like a small camping mattress than an industrial waste plant. It could be installed without a permit in most of the developing world, and it actually worked. By 2022, home biogas had deployed units in more than 100 countries. But to understand why this matters, you need to understand the physics of what is happening inside that tank. Because once you see it, you'll realize this is not a hippie composting project. This is precision microbial engineering. Here is how it works. When you drop a kilogram of food scraps into the inlet pipe of a biodigester, you are feeding it to a 4-stage microbial assembly line that has existed on Earth for roughly 3.5 billion years. The bacteria that break down organic matter into biogas are some of the oldest multi-celled organisms on the planet. The The process is called anaerobic digestion, and it runs in 4 named stages. Stage 1 is hydrolysis. Specialized bacteria break the long molecular chains of food, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, into simpler sugars, amino acids, and fatty acids. Stage 2 is acetogenesis. A second wave of bacteria ferments those simple molecules into volatile organic acids. Stage 3 is acetogenesis. A third bacterial population converts those acids into hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and acetic acid. And stage 4 is the magic step, methanogenesis. Methanogens are not regular bacteria, they are archaea, a separate domain of life, older than bacteria, and the only organisms on Earth capable of producing methane as a metabolic byproduct. They are also extremely picky. They will only work in an environment with 0 oxygen, a near-neutral pH, and a temperature above roughly 17 degrees Celsius, or 63 Fahrenheit. The system operates optimally when the temperature is around 17 degrees Celsius. Inside a sealed digester, those conditions are stable, and the methanogens go to work. They take the hydrogen and acetic acid from the previous stage and exhale methane gas. Biogas typically contains 50 to 75% methane, with the remainder being mostly carbon dioxide. That gas rises to the top of the tank, gets captured in a sealed reservoir, and runs through a single low-pressure hose directly to your kitchen stove. No compressor, no pump, no electricity. The gas pressure is generated entirely by the weight of the water, in the digester pressing down on the gas pocket above it. It's the same principle that pushes a soda bubble up through a straw, and the output numbers are not theoretical. Home biogas can process as much as 6 liters of food waste or 15 liters of manure per day. The inventors of the device claim that it can eliminate 1 ton of organic waste per year and reduce users' CO2 emissions by 6 tons, equivalent to the consumption of a car. T.H. Culhane, a National Geographic explorer who has been building IBC tote biodigesters in slums for over a decade, measured his own system directly. 25 liters of feedstock slurry produces approximately 1,000 liters of uncompressed biogas per day, which allows you to cook on a medium flame on a single burner for about 2 hours. 1 cubic meter of biogas is energetically equivalent to about 2.5 kilograms of firewood, 1.6 liters of kerosene, or 4.7 kilowatt hours of electricity every day from garbage for free. But raw numbers don't tell the full story. The real proof of this technology comes from the places where it has already replaced the grid entirely. In 2015, in the Palestinian village of Al-Auja in the Jordan Valley, a deployment funded by the Paris Center for Peace installed about 40 home biogas units in Bedouin households with no access to a gas grid. The project received $500,000 in financing from the European Union. Within months, indoor air quality measurably improved, child respiratory complaints dropped, and the women of the village stopped walking 3 kilometers a day to gather firewood. The cooking gas was free, and the liquid fertilizer ran their kitchen gardens. In 2022, the United Nations selected home biogas for the 3rd time in a single year to deploy units in refugee camps. In Rwanda, the systems were fitted with methanogenic bacteria, similar to those found in the stomachs of cows, breaking down agricultural waste into clean gas and biofertilizer. In Cairo's Zabaleen trash recycling community, T.H. Culhane's team installed rooftop biodigesters in homes that had no gas service at all, homes built on top of garbage. Those families now cook on gas made from the very garbage their neighborhood sorts. These are not pilot programs. These are working installations in some of the harshest environments on Earth, in active conflict zones and refugee camps, on rooftops in the densest urban slums in North Africa. So, if this technology has been proven in war zones, in deserts, in refugee camps, and in trash recycling neighborhoods, why has it not become standard in the suburbs of Houston, or Phoenix, or Atlanta, where the climate is warm enough for the methanogens to run year-round, and where the average household throws away more food per week than a Bedouin family throws away in a month? Because the system was never designed to let you. In the United States, anaerobic digesters at any scale fall under a tangle of overlapping federal, state, and local, permitting frameworks written for industrial-scale dairy farms, not a backyard appliance. Digesters must meet local, state, and federal regulatory requirements for air, solid waste, and water. The regulatory landscape varies across jurisdictions, leading to a lengthy and costly permitting process and a fragmented framework. In California, an in-vessel digester triggers Title 14, Chapter 3.2 of the state code, a framework originally written to regulate landfills. In Pennsylvania, it triggers the State Nutrient Management Plan, even though a household digester produces no measurable runoff. In most cities, it triggers the local building department because methane is classified as a hazardous gas under the International Fire Code, regardless of the volume produced. None of these frameworks were written with a home appliance in mind. They were written for 10 million-gallon dairy lagoons. But because no separate category exists for a household-scale digester, the appliance gets regulated as if it were a factory. This is the trick. No one in Washington passed a law banning home biogas. They simply never wrote a law permitting it. Every other gas appliance in your house, your stove, your water heater, your furnace, exists inside a legal carve-out written for the natural gas utility. There is no equivalent carve-out for gas you produce yourself. And here is the framing that flips the entire picture. We are told that the natural gas grid is modern infrastructure, and that on-site biogas is a developing world workaround. But in reality, the grid is the primitive solution. It relies on drilling wells thousands of feet into shale, fracturing rock with millions of gallons of pressurized chemicals, compressing the gas, shipping it through 10,000 miles of buried steel pipe with measurable leak rates, and then selling it back to you at a markup, while the methane from your own trash escapes from a landfill into the atmosphere as a greenhouse gas 80 times more potent than CO2. The biodigester is the sophisticated solution. It closes the loop in a single tank in your backyard. It eliminates the leak. It eliminates the drill rig. It eliminates the bill. And it has been working in some form since the reign of King Tiglath-Pileser. The reason it isn't everywhere is not that it doesn't work. It's that no one has figured out how to put a meter on it. So, how do you actually do this? There are two paths. The first is the off-the-shelf path. The home biogas 2.0 unit, sold directly by the company in Beit Yanai, Israel, ships in a single box, requires no permit in most rural and unincorporated jurisdictions, unfolds in about 2 hours, and starts producing usable gas within 2 to 4 weeks of initial inoculation with a starter slurry of cow manure. It runs in any climate where outdoor temperatures stay above 63 degrees Fahrenheit, which covers most of the southern half of the United States year-round, and the rest of the country from roughly May through October. The unit retails for under $1,500. The second path is the DIY path, and this is where the $500 figure comes from. A used IBC tote tank, the 1,000-liter, 275-gallon practically indestructible HDPE tanks that ship liquids all over the world, can be had on Craigslist for about $125. With 2-inch PVC inlet pipe, 1-inch effluent pipe, a few bulkhead fittings, and a low-pressure gas hose, the total parts cost lands between $400 and $600. The build is documented step-by-step in a freely available illustrated manual called How to Build a Solar Cities IBC Tank Biodigester, authored by Dr. Thomas Henry Culhane and Janice Kelsey. Solar Cities, founded by Culhane, also runs free hands-on workshops in dozens of countries. The Facebook group Solar Cities Biogas Innoventors and Practitioners is, at this point, the closest thing to a global open-source community for this technology. The honest limitation: cold climates will cut your gas yield in half during winter unless you insulate or heat the tank, and any system needs roughly 4 to 6 square meters of outdoor space to operate safely. The home biogas digester is a 3,000-year-old answer to a 21st century problem built from a sealed polyethylene tank, shaped by the same anaerobic microbiology that heated Assyrian bathwater and lit Victorian Exeter. And the regulatory system has decided that because no one figured out how to meter it, it must be treated as an industrial hazard instead of a kitchen appliance. A lot of what this channel covers sits outside the mainstream, not because it failed, but because the system was never designed to accommodate it. The meter has to fit before the appliance is allowed to exist. If discovering the lost art of self-sufficiency matters to you, subscribing and sharing is the simplest way to make sure this kind of knowledge keeps being found. And if you want to see how $2 of copper wire, strung the way hospitals did it a century ago, can eliminate mold from an entire house without chemicals or electricity, then that video is up next.